If nothing else, recent elections have shown a small number of votes can make a big difference, whether it's for president or city council. But higher turnouts can have other benefits even beyond what happens to candidates and parties. That explains a new effort to mobilize voters in Dorchester, starting in Ward 15, which includes the areas Bowden, Geneva, Meeting House Hill, and Fields Corner. To tell us about the effort are two activists with DotTheVote, campaign manager Ed Cook and social media coordinator Malaika Lucien. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
I want to start with Ed, because you've been active in Ward 15 for a while. This is an area that does have a fairly good level of activism, but what have voter turnouts been like in the past?
Well, there are a lot of challenges. The turnout has been very low. We think that Ward 15 is the lowest turnout ward probably in the whole state. We know that 35% of our registered voters have not voted once in the past 6 years. And that's what we're trying to address. So turnout is important to us, and then after the presidential primary, we'll start focusing on voter registration to increase the number of registered voters. Our campaign, DotTheVote, not everyone knows that a nickname for Dorchester is Dot, so therefore DotTheVote, is we pitch it mostly as community empowerment through voting. Our motto is the voice of Dorchester is Dorchester's vote. So Dorchester's voice is Dorchester's vote. I had a meeting with the Fields Corner Civic Association, and a Vietnamese gentleman said to me, you know, if I'm a Republican voting in a predominantly Democratic area, my vote doesn't count. And what I said to him was that our effort is, in terms of empowerment, is that elected officials, corporations, charities, and on, the one thing they can all do is count. So if they look at the total number of people who vote, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Green Party, doesn't matter, if they see that we are using our voice, then they will want to engage with us, and they'll pay more attention to us. So that's our principal effort, is community empowerment through the vote.
Like this is an area that has added to the diversity of people in elected office in Boston, people like Liz Miranda, Ivan Vukovarlo. But on the other hand, what about the demographics of this district? I mean, what are we talking about as far as the mix of people that you have to get in touch with?
So I know for me, I'm a first-generation American. My parents are Haitian immigrants. So we have a variety of people living in Ward 15, from Irish immigrants or people of Irish descent to a very large Vietnamese population, a very large Cape Verdean population, and also Haitian Americans. And so with DotTheVote, we are relying on some of our immigrant leaders to really maximize voter turnout, to maximize civic engagement. Rep. Liz Miranda has been a great partner in this work, because it's about getting all the diverse voices to come out and vote. And she had great success in her first election last year, I think in 2018. So how do we build on that and continue even when it's not, you know, a very exciting election cycle? We always have to vote, and teaching people to get in that tradition is part of our principal effort, I would say, with DotTheVote.
Yes.
One thing I would certainly say to Republicans, even in this part of Boston, is that, sure, Trump didn't stand much of a chance 4 years ago, but Governor Baker almost carried the city. So, I mean, you know, Republican votes, you know, you don't want to sneeze at those, don't you?
No, we don't want to sneeze at any votes. We want everyone who's a registered voter to come out and vote. We're looking for the cumulative effect, the total number of voters, to express the activism of the community, and empowerment to people like people who have just become residents of the neighborhood, people who are new citizens, people who are minority voters, who speak different languages, who don't feel that they have any power. Those are the people we want to empower, and we want them to register, and we want them to vote.
Well, I'm still going back to the norm when I was younger. To vote, you had to go out there in one day. But you're a younger person. What's it like for you? You come out of your background, but when you go to vote, you see all these other people in Dorchester at the same time.
I think it's. I've been very involved in politics, so I love voting. I love using that tool through my voice. And young voters are definitely getting more engaged, but like I was saying, we have a lot of new residents. And so how do we also get them excited to vote and also get them to the polls? I have found in the past election cycle last year, it was a lot of traditional voters. So I always remind my friends, like text 5 people is a big thing in politics now, and remind them to vote or to remind them to register to vote, and that will have a greater impact than just you going to the polls. And so that's also what we're trying to do through DotTheVote, to not just have people vote for themselves, but remind your household. If there is one person that's regularly voting, but it's a household of 5, how do we get each person out there on election day?
This is BNN News. We're talking with Ed Cook and Malaika Lucien from DotTheVote. Ed, one of the other things you've been involved in over the years is organizing pre-election forums, and I can imagine one of the things that all candidates must be wondering about when they get an invitation from Ward 15 is how many people out there vote. I mean, do you worry about that all these election years?
Oh, absolutely. That's the principal motivation for DotTheVote, that we want people to respect us, to listen to us, come out and appeal to us for our votes. In the case of candidates for elected office. But we also want corporations, banks, for instance. Bowdoin Street doesn't have a bank, although it's a very active business district. Hospitals, charities, if they find out that we're a very active community that uses its voice, they will want to listen and talk to us.
Malaika, what about reaching people on social media? That's your main job with this. What do you get planned?
So we're really going to amplify our message by relying on the vast majority of coalition partners that we have, pushing out early voting, pushing out the presidential election, and then leading up to November, reminding people that your voice does matter through your vote. So we just started a new Twitter account and a Facebook account at Vote Dorchester for both platforms, and we hope that you follow us and continue to follow our message.
Now, Ed, you've gotten some contributions to this campaign. What do you plan to do with those resources?
So I'll give one example. The city puts out sandwich signs, white plastic, that announce the upcoming election. There are 50 of those signs for the whole city. We would like to put quadruple that just in Ward 15. And the city does not yet have that in their budget, although we're working with city councilors, the election commission, to increase that number, perhaps before the fall elections. But we want to put out signs of our own, reminding people of voting dates, and create a buzz with signage, house signs, and in storefronts. So that's one way that we would use the money. Advertising on Facebook, advertising in newspapers, paying for phone banking. We have a budget of between $7,000 and $10,000 minimally that we're looking to raise.
Malaika, what about the importance of getting this message out in multiple languages?
So like I was saying before, Ward 15 and Dorchester in general just have a very large immigrant population, people that speak Cape Verdean Creole, Haitian Creole, Vietnamese. So in addition, Spanish as well, definitely Spanish. So in addition to increasing the number of sandwich signs, we also want them to have language access. So how do we get them in the languages that people are actually speaking in our neighborhood? We've found that a lot of people people don't realize that March 3rd is an election day. So if it's only in one language and that's not accessible to everyone, then we're cutting out a large population and a large demographic that should be out voting. So part of this effort is to make sure that all of our materials have language access and that they have the ability to reach all the different populations in our neighborhood.
I want to go back to, from both of you, to talk about some of your earliest experiences in reaching out to voters. I know you did it in political campaigns. We don't have to name the names. And what was it like for you? Because at one time you were fairly new in this neighborhood, I think, and you were reaching out. What was that like for you?
Well, fairly new. I had moved back in '85 to Dorchester, but I had been born in Dorchester, and I identify sometimes as OFD, originally from Dorchester. And it's been really exciting to me to work in electoral politics and community organizing. If you reach people and you offer them a chance to use their voice, they'll use it. When I worked in electoral politics, we organized our campaign offices in such a way that if a person arrived and they had 10 minutes or they had an hour to work, we had something for them to do so that they could feel that they had accomplished something. And that invariably brought people back. When they feel that their contribution makes a difference, it brings people back into the campaign or whatever process you're working on.
What about you, Malaika? Even just talking to younger voters who aren't there yet as far as being plugged in politically.
I would say getting involved in campaigns has helped me to really learn about my community, to learn about the different interests that there are, and learn about street names again when you're door knocking and canvassing. And I think that's something that, can get lost very easily. But when you have a chance to speak to someone that you've never talked to before, or learn about why they love their neighborhood, or remind them why they have an opportunity to really make an important statement about how committed they are to where they live, that is very empowering. So it's in addition to voting and expressing your voice, but also connecting with your neighbors, and being comfortable doing that is a great experience. And so we want to bring people back and learn that even if you have a different opinion with someone, this is a forum to talk about that opinion, to have a healthy debate, and to really just connect with your neighbor no matter what. So. And
finally, if people want to connect on social media, again, one more time.
At Vote Dorchester, and then our email is DotTheVote@gmail.com.
Thank you both very much, Malaika, Lucien, and Ed Cook from DotTheVote.
Thank you.
Pleasure.